Hello, everybody. I'm Michael Friedman, also known as the Catr, and we have lovely Christopher Owens, also known as Kenard, and we are doing the Catr and Kenard podcast, episode 7 for Black History Month. This is our second episode for Black History Month, and
No, it's
say
not.
hello
No, it's
to the
not.
people.
It actually is not at all.
It is not what?
It is definitely episode 7 is not themed for Black History Month. But now that you say that, I probably should come up. We probably should come up with some ideas that are Black music related for episode 8 if we have enough time this month.
Oh, I thought
Hi.
every episode that we recorded, we didn't talk about this before.
Absolutely not.
I thought I had
Nah, not
actually,
at all.
yeah,
I
I had asked you if you were going to give me more questions. I still never answered the question about somebody that I don't understand, Black artist. I started thinking about it. I don't know if I couldn't think of an answer, but the hype around certain artists, I don't. Your question to me was somebody that you don't understand why they don't have all that hype.
That's not at all what I meant. It was just that you and I, we exist in our own. We, like you, I live here in Philly. You're over near like the OBX kind of area, and like both work in that retail environment. And I'm sure like amongst coworkers or friends, you may hear about artists, in this particular case, Black artists that are like very popular, and maybe you like check them out, don't really like them, or don't understand the music, and you don't understand how they're like such big stars in like today's culture. And I just wanted to, and with hip hop being the biggest genre in the world right now, I thought, oh, maybe here's my chance to possibly like clue you in on something you may have not been aware of. But honestly, do not feel like pressured to answer all the questions. I just sent you a bunch just so that we wouldn't run out of things to talk about in episode 6.
Oh yeah,
We're here now because like you hit me up like, yo, we can get back together on Sunday, make it happen. And at first I'm like, it felt a little soon, but I looked at my work schedule and I'm like, I'm not doing anything on Sunday. Plus my missus is away, getting to the bag. Shout out to Sarah. So I'm like,
Hi,
you
Sarah.
know what? I will just like, we'll record, not sure where it's gonna go. And thankfully, social media solved all of our problems. Thanks to, and here's like a Black thing, sorta, kinda. Not sure it really runs Dat Piff, but Dat Piff, the mixtape moguls that they are, they were posting like there's this trend on Twitter right now. And Dat Piff didn't necessarily start this, but they asked the question to their audience, and I saw the tweet where they were just like, oh, a lot of people on this platform are listing albums that like do a good job of like, explaining a person's taste to others, like, and Dat Piff list was like more hip hop based, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna pick 7 albums in general that just like display the variety that I love so much. And a good chunk is just rock based. But I thought about albums that like mean a lot to me as I've grown up through the years and showcase my faves. You know what I mean? And so that's what I picked and that's what I posted. And I'm like, this is perfect for the show because we both have collected a ton of music. We both listen to a lot of music. And that's why I brought the prompt to you. And now we're gonna like show our like we're gonna like check our answers and like display them to the world and continue to bring our audience this like interesting and great music. Would you like to go first?
Sure. First of all, as you know, I always bring something music to the episode that my microphone fell there. And so I always bring something music to the table. And so something I found of mine. This is Cheap Trick bandana. I don't wear bandanas, so I'm just going to hold it up to the crowd. And Cheap Trick was still is a band from Rockford, Illinois. So that's their pride, is that they're from Rockford, Illinois. Anyway, yeah, sure. Well, you already answered this tweet before you gave me the assignment. So, but Yeah, sure. Let me bring up my list, which is kind of a hard, as I was telling you before we went live. Um, I there's there I've actually, yeah, I've seen lists like this before, um, making the rounds on social media, but this, as I was telling you before, this list is not 7 albums that, uh, like if you went on a desert island and you could only have 7 albums, these are the 7 that you would have. These are 7 albums that where you get to know the person, their musical taste the best. So I had a hard time with that because I've always tried to think of albums that are my favorite, um, and which ones are in the top echelon of my favorite albums. But this list made me think a little differently. So I started out, and these aren't in any specific order, but I started out with "Feel So Good" by Chuck.
Mangione.
I know I've botched his last name, and if I like the artist
Mangione.
so much, I should know how to pronounce it. I think it's Mangione. Um,
Mangione.
I think it's Mangione. Actually, I thought
I
I heard
googled
it.
it. I googled it. I made sure.
Yeah, and you used Wikipedia, correct?
Oh, hey, hey, hey. There will be no slander of Wikipedia on this podcast.
uh,
Not one iota of
I guess we
slander.
won't be doing any more episodes anyway.
Wow, you're petty. You're Tom Petty. Don't disrespect Wikipedia, bro. They paved the way for people like you and me. Nah, I googled it and I found it on YouTube and someone pronounced it in like real time. Mangione.
Mangione. Okay. Well, anyway, I his a little thing about that album is "Feels So Good" is actually a the title track was probably uh, his biggest hit, and not probably, it is. That's what people know him for, and I'm not going to say that doesn't represent him. I like that song. Um, my favorite song on the album, dog, is "Last Dance." Now, you would think "Last Dance" would be the last song that would be appropriate. No, it's not. It's the second to last song. It's 6 songs, and it's a short album, but that's probably because of the track length of the songs. The first one is super long. The first one is is I want to use this word, truncated, for the radio. I have a greatest hits of Chuck Mangione. My dad owns "Feel So Good." I only have a greatest hits, and on that CD, it's like 3, maybe 4 minutes long. But on the album, which I have up on iTunes, is okay. I thought it was double digit time length. It's 9:42, but on the greatest hits, I think it might be 4 minutes long. So if you want the real long version, go to the official source, the album where he's hugging his I forgot what the name of the instrument is. It's flugelhorn, and it has I guess it's like a Swedish word or German. It has those 2 dots over the U, so I guess you kind of stress it's like long. And I like language, uh, but I that's something I need to learn. It has those 2 dots over it. You know what that? You know what I'm talking about?
An umlaut.
Okay. Well, if you look up iTunes and you read the album review about it, it says reissued on CD, this set from flugelhornist Chuck Mangione, which helped give guitarist Grant Geisman some fame, is actually stronger from the jazz standpoint than Mangione's subsequent dates. This later has some good solos, as does Geisman and saxophonist Chris Vadala, and the quintet's ensembles are generally both sparse and attractive. Pity that in ways this was Chick Mangione's last worthwhile release to date. Now that's their opinion. Success did stunt his artistic growth, but he's not really a household name, I don't think. Um, but if you do mention his name, they're gonna go, "Oh, Feel So Good," and that's a good song. But like I said, my jam is Last Dance, which is actually 10:54. That's a good amount of time, and but the other songs are good, but I like Feel So Good and Last Dance. It's not a whole album that I appreciate. I'm starting to like the last song, but I never understood Roman numerals, so I can't begin to tell you the name of the song. It's the number 6 song on there. Chuck Mangione, a little fun fact, was actually in an episode of King of the Hill. I don't know how they snuck him into that show. And it's kind of funny to see a jazz guy, a smooth jazz. I think that's what his genre is, and that's kind of what I like, is smooth jazz. So, which kind of leads into one of the other albums. But we'll do that in a minute. The second one, which is probably my entry that wasn't real happy about putting in there. We just did the episode a few days ago, so it was kind of cramming. But Volume 4 by Black Sabbath. That's my favorite album by Black Sabbath. And it's got Changes on it. It's got Tomorrow. I forgot what that song is called. It's got a few hits on it. But my favorite track is the last song, which wasn't a hit. And it's one of the naming conventions that Black Sabbath did for a few of their songs, where it's 2 parts. So it's got one name and then a backslash and then another name. And I think Volume 4, they were all on drugs when they recorded the album. Fun fact, this album was originally going to be called, one of the songs on the CD called Snowblind, which has something to do about cocaine, I think. I don't do drugs. Kids, don't do drugs. And the cocaine praising Snowblind further exposed and reflected the tenor of the times. Though this album took longer than usual to make, no duh, it features some of the band's best music. The Wheels of Confusion and the Straightener, that's what I'm talking about with the backslash. That's the first song. That song's good. Wheels of Confusion, like, you can't tell with the songs with backslashes where the first ends and the second starts. But I feel like Wheels of Confusion is the lyric part of the song. And then when they get into the jam, the instrumental part, the straightener, that's what I feel like is the straightener, I think, is the instrumental jam. And that's probably my favorite part of the song. I don't know if I told you off air, but there are some songs, dog, that I only like part of a song. There's a lot of songs in my catalog. Makes me sound like I'm an artist in my iPod, that I only like parts of the song. I don't like the actual whole song, but I like the straightener part of it more than I probably like Wheels of Confusion. And Tomorrow's Dream's a good track. Changes is a good track. That's basically their only ballad. Don't listen to Kelly Osbourne. And she did a cover with her father of Changes. That's horrible. But her cover of Papa Don't Preach, which I think might have been her only hit, was good. Madonna's song. Supernaut is good. Snowblind is good. And then Under the Sun, the last song, number 10. This is another 2-parter. Under the Sun / Every Day Comes and Goes. I feel like that's probably the same as Wheels of Confusion and the Straightener. It starts out with lyrics, and then ends with an instrumental part. And I probably have to do the same too and say that Every Day Comes and Goes is my favorite part. So, but that wasn't a hit, the last one. So moving on, my third album I would say is, let's see, I got that up. My third one is more in line with Smooth Jazz Collection by Dave Grusin. Dave Grusin is probably most known for doing this theme song to the TV show St. Elsewhere. He also did the theme for Tootsie, which is a movie with Dustin Hoffman where he dresses up as a woman. Fun fact, you and I are BIMers from the Broadcasting Institute of Maryland, and I'm going to finally let you talk because I'm going to ask you a question here. In my class, we had to reenact a scene from Tootsie. Did you do that in your class?
No, I'd never even seen the movie before, to be honest with you.
So, my dad loves that movie. But anyway, Dave Grusin, there's a few good songs on that CD. That would actually go on my other list because that's one of my favorite albums of all time. Same as Volume 4. Feel So Good, no, but Volume 4 and Collection. The next one we talked about, I think 2 episodes ago. I don't really have much to say about it. If you want to hear more, check back that last episode. But As Onethology by Kirk DeGorgio, and it's spanned over a few discs. It's no longer on iTunes. It's techno. And the one thing I don't think I said a couple episodes ago was I kind of felt myself gelling, to use a Dr. Scholl term, gelling with techno music. It might be considered house music, but I kind of enjoyed it. I liked the production of it. The next album, and I feel a little strange. I've been saying this for 6 years now. Melt by Peter Gabriel. I've been saying for the last 6 years that that's probably my favorite album. It's just my favorite album because you can't. It's kind of weird. I was talking to someone. You can't say. You can only have one favorite. You can't say these are my favorite albums of all time.
What? You really believe that?
Yeah. You know who told me? My mom.
I strongly disagree.
You disagree with my mom.
I hate to see it, but like I do.
Uh-huh.
I really do.
You can't say these are my top 5 favorite albums. Favorite means one.
No. Oh no. Oh
okay.
no.
Well,
I know. Okay, but like speaker piece. I'll explain how I feel later. But like, wow, like
okay.
I don't. Wow.
Melt by Peter Gabriel is my favorite album of all time. And I'm still in my music journey. I'm still looking to find more favorite albums. But for right now, But for right now, Melt is number 1. A little fun fact: Melt, the first after we talked about this, I think actually Aramide and I did. We did an episode with your friend Aramide. We talked about how he left. All right, so my brother is in on this episode again. He was on last episode. Favorite, he looked it up.
Hello, brother.
Adjective. Oh, that was a wrestling reference. Adjective. Preferred before all others of the same kind. Their favorite Italian restaurant. Noun. A person or thing that is especially popular or particular, well liked by someone. There's more definitions, but I don't know if that helps either my case or your case. But let's get back to Peter Gabriel. The fun fact is, after he left Genesis, the first 4 albums, I think 5, he self-titled them, but they had little nicknames. It's kind of like Weezer, how Weezer had the Blue album, but it's really called Weezer, or the White Album by the Beatles. It's really called. It says on the spine the Beatles, but they call it the White Album.
Everyone does, yeah.
So Peter Gabriel didn't do color albums. He did just albums, and then self-titled, and then things that were on the front cover of that CD is the name of the little nickname. So the one for Melt is his face melting, so it's called Melt. So that has the song Biko on it, which is a really good song. Which is about Stephen Biko and something to do about apartheid. I was going to research it, and I never did. What's that?
Apartheid.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
I was going to research it a little bit. I might have used Wikipedia, but I wasn't going to do that. Anyway, next time I will research it for next episode, and we'll talk about Stephen Biko because I would like to learn. Anyway, Games Without Frontier is on there. A really disturbing song, if you listen to the lyrics, called Family Snapshot is on there. And it made it on his greatest hits, at least one of his greatest hits. Intruder is a really good song, the first song. That's a kind of disturbing song, too. I don't think as bad as Family Snapshot. So, yeah, I love the sound, actually. That represents who I am musically. I love the sounds of the songs. After Melt, I've got 2 Pink Floyd albums. The Wall, my brother yesterday played like the first 5 songs of The Wall. And The Wall is a legendary album by Pink Floyd. It has one of their biggest hits, which is called which is called Another Brick in the Wall, and it's part 2, I think. And that's an album that ages well. I listened to that album with my family one time. We went out to eat, and on our way to the restaurant, we listened to it. That was probably about 8 years ago. But I remember thinking, wow, that still sounds good. And it's the first disc. My brother played track 1, In the Flesh, ? So, In the Flesh, The Thin Ice, and they just kind of mold into each other. And that's kind of like Money from Dark Side of the Moon. That, I don't know how the radio edited that, but that goes right into the next song. That's a tricky thing to do. But anyway, The Thin Ice is the second one. Another Brick in the Wall, part 1 is track 3. The Happiest Days of Our Life, 4. 5 is Another Brick in the Wall, part 2. That was the big hit. We don't need no education. And Mother, my brother didn't play that, but that's another good track. I don't know if it continues the mold, but 1 through 5, that's just great. That's really, really good. I like that. That got me excited listening to that. I mean, the rest of the CD is great too. It's got a lot of different things on it. It's got some Broadway on it too. So let's go on to the next disc. I think this part of the show is me, and then I'll just shut up and let you talk.
It's all good. I'm learning a lot about you. See, this is exactly what they were trying to do with these lists.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my last one is Pink Floyd, Momentary Lapse of Reason. Dog, I love the first song on this is the album with, I don't know who it is, but he's sitting on a bed. It might not be a member of Pink Floyd, but it's a guy sitting on a bed on a beach. And the beach has a bunch of CDs. And fun fact, the first song I love is instrumental song. It leads into their hit. It has a lot of beds. You can see far, far down the beach beds. But it's The first song is called "Signs of Life." It's an instrumental song, and it's really good. It's kind of creepy sounding, but it leads. This is another melding into another song, "Learning to Fly," which is their hit. Not the same song as Tom Petty did a "Learning to Fly" and the Foo Fighters. I actually asked a question last year, I think, on Facebook. What's your favorite "Learning to Fly"? Foo Fighters, Pink Floyd, or Foo Fighters? And mine is definitely Pink Floyd. And so it had another hit called "On the Turning Away." That's a good song. The one slip, the fourth song, I think was a minor hit. A really good song is "Sorrow." The guitar intro is like sublime, is like heavenly. It's like David Gilmour standing on top of a mountain, just playing his heart out. And then it gets into this drumming and singing, and that's my favorite part, is the very beginning. Anyway, the fun fact, though, is Signs of the Beach. You got the beach on the front. Signs of Life, to begin the song, has some sound effects of like waves crashing against the shore. But to finish this fun fact is, I believe Gilmour recorded this album on his boat, and I'm trying to find it on iTunes. Maybe they took that part down. Another thing I do not like about iTunes, another thing to complain about. We'll have a whole episode where we complain. So my voice is getting a little cracked now, so I'm going to let you talk. That's my 7 albums.
Well, thank you for that, first of all. That's a great way to start. I'm going to read my list for the class, if you don't mind, if my laptop.
And real quick, I'm going to pull yours up too.
Okay, there you go. We'll both have
have it in front of my face.
Yeah.
All right.
Pull my little tweet. Feel free to follow me at Chris Kenard. That's KrisKenard on Twitter. I say some pretty fun stuff. I was talking about Momoland and the K-pop genre a little bit earlier this morning. So my 7 albums are Periphery 2, This Time It's Personal by Periphery, Self-Titled by Dance Gavin Dance, otherwise known as the Death Star album, The Archandroid by Janelle Monáe, Intimacy by Block Party, In My Room by Jacob Collier, 5 and 7 Years Ago by Reliant K, and The Beautiful Letdown by Switchfoot. Let's start with Periphery, my hometown heroes. Periphery, at this point, they were a 6-person band with Misha Mansour, Jake Bowen, what is Mraki's actual name? How do I not remember Mark's name? You know what? All right, Mark. I'm going to say Mark. Is there anyone else?
I'll look him up real quick and I'll.
Yeah, please. Look, I don't remember Mark's last name, and it's killing me right now. I'll start over. All right, Misha Mansour, Jake Bowen, Matt Halpern, Spencer Sotelo, Nolly Getgood, and Mark.
I'll help you out. I know you're struggling.
Yeah, I don't know why the heck I can't remember it. Like I was just listening to an interview with him,
and they are at the forefront of the gent movement, which is a movement I know you like.
Big fan of gent music. Yeah.
It said it started in 2005 as the recording project of guitarist and producer Misha Mansour.
Find me Mark's last name. Focus now.
Let's see. With a lineup that included guitarist Alex Boyes, Jake Bowen, Tom Murphy, Matt Halpern. He's their drummer.
Are you on iTunes?
Yeah.
Get off iTunes.
You should be. Who are you looking for there? Singer?
I said Mark. I don't remember Mark's last name, and it's bugging me.
I just said it. Oh, Mark. They had a man. Let's see.
See, you're on iTunes, so that's where you messed up.
I don't see a Mark at all.
That's because you're looking at their old bio. That's why.
Oh, so they haven't updated the bio.
Heck no. Why would they, right? Let me see.
Mark Holcomb.
Holcomb, thank goodness.
That was
There.
on
Oh my
iTunes.
gosh.
That was on iTunes.
Okay, fine. You can have that one. You can have that brief one. All right, so there. You have the complete cast of my boys. Um,
And
you
where are
know,
they?
like
They're from Bethesda. Cool, cool.
exactly. This is why I say like it makes me so angry that like Periphery is such a successful band in their own right, but yet they have absolutely no support from local radio. I'm looking at you, DC 101 and 98 Rock. Y'all suck. Do better. Like it's not like I'm not even gonna get into it, but Periphery 2, like it was there like you know like Periphery 1 according to like fans and the band themselves, a lot of the music was just written exclusively by Misha, you know, because at the time it was just like a personal project, and then he brought in all these great musicians. Like I love Periphery because they have three guitarists. Normally you have two. They have three. Three! And what I love about Periphery is that Nolly, their bassist at the time, he was brought in after Tom Murphy left the band, and like he learned the first album with little to no trouble. Like the whole thing. And Misha, I think he said that like, yo, we make Nolly play bass because he's better than everyone else in the band at guitar. And I'm like, man, what a fun group of people to play music with. I think it's a great because you know Periphery, they have about like what 6 albums at this point in their career. One, two, three, like it was including like the self-titled albums, Periphery 1, Periphery 2, Periphery 3, and Periphery 4, which dropped last year. And I always recommend people start with Periphery 2 because I think it's the best way to like get to know the whole cast and crew. Because
Okay.
after Periphery 3, Nolly left the band to like stay home in the UK with his wife and work on his engineering career. But he still plays bass on all 4 of those albums. And you have such great songs like Make Total Destroy, Scarlet, Have a Blast, and Have a Blast is like the first song on the album. And I recommend people start there so you can see like how fun like the songs can be. You got lots of double bass, lots of screams, lots of great singing, awesome solos. Can't recommend this album enough. I would walk to work to and fro with this album many a day, so that's why it's the first one on the list. I won't
Uh-huh.
spend too much time on it. I love you guys so much. Hey, shout out to Mark, Cup of Burger, you know what I mean? Let's talk about Dance Gabba Dance, who I think is my actual favorite band right now. This was during the Kurt Travis era of their band. Dance Gavin Dance has featured a lot of people in their little outfit. The only like people in the band that have been in like the group since its beginning till now is guitarist Will Swan and drummer Matt Mingus. Everyone else has kind of been like a revolving door for the most part. But at this point, the original vocalist Johnny Craig he had been fired, and they hired Kurt Travis, who was drastically different. You know, like Craig featured like an R&B style to his vocals, and like Craig Travis is what I call like, hmm, I would say he's when it comes to like my background of like just like progressive, like experimental emo stuff, like he's that quintessential emo vocalist, you know, someone that you like compare to like say an Anthony Green or somebody like that in that caliber. And he can sustain a note for a long time. He has a very broad range, but didn't have much vibrato like a Johnny Craig. And so like they tended not to sing songs from that part of their history. A good song to start, or rather my favorite song from this album would have to be Caviar, which features guest vocals from Deftones vocalist Chino Moreno.
Uh-huh.
It's funny you said that like a lot of the songs on that Pink Floyd project were molding into one another. There's one song in particular on Death Star called Hot Water on Wool, and it has a part one and a part two. And if you're not listening to like the album, it's like say you like save the whole album on like Apple Music or Spotify, and you heard like part one of Hot Water on Wool, it would end really abruptly because on the album version of Death Star, like one and two, like they're like they fade right into each other or just transition into one another. So don't really recommend to start listening to that. Uneasy Hearts, Weigh the Most is also a good song from that album, or such cult classics as Me and Zoloff Get Along Just Fine. So you're gonna see a lot of really like off kilter guitar work, some crazy drums. You're gonna hear some screen vocals from Mr. John Mess. Oh, he's also been in every John Mess has been in every album of Dance Gavin Dance except their third one, but that's another story for another time. I'm gonna move right along to my third album, The Arc Android by Janelle Monáe. Important side note: when referring to Janelle Monáe, use the proper pronouns: they, them, not she, her. She recently came out of the see, let's messed up right there. Recently came out as non-binary, so I'll make sure that I address the person appropriately and correctly. Um, I got into Janelle Monáe around the time I was going to BIM. I want to say maybe in high school, if that's more appropriate. Um, Janelle Monáe is an I want to say an associated act of Outkast. I believe Big Boy was featuring their work on like he had like a compilation album of all of like his favorite local artists or just like people that he had signed, featuring people like Killer Mike who had not met LP at that point in his career. And Janelle Monáe had this song called "Letting Go" when they were working for this retail chain, just making songs in their spare time and like answering like comments and like fan mail on their work computer. And the manager's like, "Yo, like Janelle, like you're awesome, but you daydream too much. You're fired." And
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
heard about
"Cool,
that. Yeah.
cool." And so I'm just gonna focus on my music career and see where that goes. And P Diddy heard about their work and was like, "Yo, I want to offer you a deal." And I don't want to have any like creative input on what you do. I think what you're doing is so interesting. I'm just gonna give you some money. I'm gonna like make sure that you can play some shows, and we'll see how it goes. You know, I'm thankful now that Janelle is getting like the press that they deserve because with Dirty Computer coming out and being so popular, like you can hear some of that music on the radio, which is so awesome. Like Prince was a big fan of Janelle's before he died and stuff like that. Archangel is where it all started. Before this album, we had a brief EP, and if you look in like the liner notes of the album, it has like volumes. There are various suites that you hear in this album, and the first one was in the first EP, and you hear more of that, unlike her on their sophomore release, The Electric Lady. There's this theme, a strong theme of like tech noir, like pardon me, artificial intelligence, like androids, obviously robots. Like I don't really know a lot of like R&B singers who like have a theme of like the future or just like sci-fi like Janelle has. You have great songs like Tightrope featuring Big Boy, Cold War, the last song, which is like 8 minutes, Babapaya. It's like so epic, and there are lots of really fun moments in there. You have Locked Inside. Um, we have like the War of Roses, Come Alive. I'm a big supporter of this album. I think I gave it away to a friend because it's one of those albums I want to buy 100 copies of just so everybody that I know can listen to it.
That's
Super
18.
good.
That's 18 tracks deep.
Superb.
And I read a rating. It says, despite a downbeat storyline inspired by the German expressionist classic Metropolis, the music brims with joy. But it also says her Wonderland production team takes cues from James Brown and Stevie Wonder.
Absolutely, absolutely. And once you hear it, you'll know exactly what it's referring to. I'd say more, but we won't have enough time for that. Big fan. Long live Cindy Mayweather. Album 4 is Intimacy by Block Party. I'm a huge fan of Block Party. A big theme for me personally as a consumer of music is blackness and just like the role of blackness in like otherwise primarily like white spaces. And like you have a band like Block Party with like Kayleigh as like the lead vocalist and writer, just like making like really like popular indie rock music. And at the time, and like their first album, as I recall, was put out on the same label, Dimmock, which is like Steve Aoki's label at the time. And just like Helicopter being featured on like Guitar Hero 3 and stuff like that. Intimacy is interesting because it features more of like a just more synth based environment for the songs to like grow in. Like there's lots of samples and like Kayleigh's doing a lot of weird like just like vocal work. Their guitarist always features this interesting like use a lot of pedals and like stuff to like give you really cool effects to listen to. Um, they also have a song called Biko on intimacy, and I think it's about the subject of cancer and just finding like the motivation and strength to like stay alive in a time where like any day could be your last, and that throughout the song you hear like Kayleigh just saying in the background like you are not doing this alone, and on days where like life really sucked, it'd be nice to hear a song say you're not you're not all by yourself, and when you like get out there in the world doing your thing, you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for everybody who really cares about you, even if you're not with them at the time. If I could pick one song from that album, it will probably have to be either Halo or man, what else would it be? I'm just gonna go ahead and say Halo because like Halo is like a callback to the sound they established so well in their first album, Silent Alarm. Big fan of like the Block Party stuff. Fell off after they released the album 4, but again, story for another time. Let me move on here. We have In My Room by Jacob Collier. People who have been listening to our podcast for a little bit know that I cannot shut up about this guy. I have recommended Michael hear a song, his Christmas Carol,
Yeah, yeah.
in the Bleak Midwinter. Huge fan of that. It's not on the album unfortunately, but fun fact: this album won 2 Grammys actually. He won a Grammy for his cover of the Flintstones theme
Yeah,
song,
yeah. I
which
was gonna say that. Yeah.
is super great. And he also won a Grammy for his Stevie Wonder cover of You and I. Also great covers on there are the song the title track In My Room, which is like a Beach Boys record. I listen to that song almost every day these days. So glad that I bought it. You can hear his cut Don't You Know featured with Snarky Puppy, who I recently recommended to you.
Yep.
They have on their album Family Dinner Volume 2 where they play that live. It's the closing cut on that. I think their version's like 9 minutes, and like it's a real fun time. I'm fascinated by people like Jacob Collier who can play like seemingly like hundreds of instruments, right? And such a wide range of like vocal stuff. There are some lyrics there that I'm not too big of a fan of, in particular on songs Savior and Down the Line, where he seems kind of vain, where it's just like, oh, like this girl that I'm talking to, she wants to save me, like I need to be saved. I don't want to be anybody's savior, and I don't need no savior. And it's like, bro, like you may be super talented, but like you ain't that cute. Calm down. And just with Down the Line, where he's just like, oh, I met this person, and they seem to be lost in life, but then like I helped them find their way. But then when our journey, when our journey together ended, he was just like, oh, like we're no longer friends. Don't talk to me anymore. I'm like, whoa, where's all this hostility coming from? Like I didn't really get a sense of like their journey via like the lyrics of the song. I mean, the music is so like compelling, but it's just like yo, like I feel like there needs to be a little more context here. But those are my only gripes about the album. It's rare to see like an artist this young have such an impact on like the community that he's surrounded in. Because I found that people who know music, who are nerds about music like you and I, they think that Jacob Collier's a bit pretentious. And with songs like that, I hear a little bit of that. When he put out the Jesse Volume 1, when you have songs like With All the Love in My Heart, where like it feels like 3 songs just like squished together, it's like, is he putting too much into one like track? But after watching a couple more interviews, it's like, oh, like there's so many ideas that I have, and I want them to get them all out on paper as quickly and as efficiently as possible. There have been a few videos on YouTube where he just like displays all like the little minute details that go into each song, and I'm just like, yo, like I can't imagine just having this much free time to do that, and just like this much passion to like squeezing every little like gear and pulley. Like he won 2 more Grammys this year, one for a cover of Moon River and for a cover of All Night Long. And like just like looking at like how he recorded Moon River is bananas. I'm gonna stop shouting for my soapbox about Jacob. We're gonna move on to two bands that like really set the tone for my taste as a younger person. The first being Reliant K with their album Five Score and 7 Years Ago. At this point, Reliant K, they're a really big deal in like the Christian rock realm, the pop punk realm. I'm a big fan of Matt Thiessen, who is like the primary songwriter, lead vocalist, piano player, guitarist. Fun fact: dated Carrie Perry. Well, Carrie dated Katy Perry for a brief period of her career, and I believe he wrote a song for her when she put out her greatest hits album. Don't really know much more about.
She was a religious artist before she became Katy Perry.
Yeah, I recall her being on one POD song that I enjoyed at a time, "Goodbye for Now." I think that may have been my introduction to that band. I digress though. You have a lot of really great big songs on Five Score with like almost we have like a bit of a metal song with "I Need You," like a fun like piano song called "Must Have Done Something Right." We have "Give Until There's Nothing Left." The closing track, "Deathbed," I think it's like 8 minutes or so, actually features vocals from John Foreman from Switchfoot. It's saying like the narrative of like Thiessen's grandfather, who just like had a really rough life and really like avoided like his relationship with Christ until like the very end. And it's cool to see a song like "Deathbed" because there's lots of like musical motifs and stuff, and it doesn't feel, because most of the time I felt as a skeptical Christian in 2020 that like CCM could be very ham-fisted. It's like, let's and like those who are familiar and those who speak Christianese, we know how most of these songs go, and like it's easy for it to be like kind of corny and stuff. And after this album, it like it's rough to see how Reliant K ended up, you know, because now there's only two dudes left in the band. Granted, these were two dudes who started the band together as young people, but like it's almost as if they've been forgotten. But I feel that after this album, Five Score, there was almost nowhere left for them to go. It was almost as if they ran out of ideas, which is kind of frightening when you think about that. But this was almost like I dare say that Five Score for Reliant K was their last hurrah as a band, like a big band at the time. I think that they were still signed to like Toby Mac at the moment. Good album. I remember buying it from like a Christian bookstore. I wore that bad boy down. I'm gonna rebuy it someday. Speaking of albums that I like tore up, I purchased "Beautiful Letdown" by Switchfoot in 8th grade, right? And I listened to that CD almost every day that I could, because at that point, yeah, I want to say it's 8th grade. I think, let's say ninth just to be safe, because if I haven't told the story already, I went to a very interesting school from 8th to ninth grade, Etz Chaim, and they were a Messianic Jewish school, and I know that's weird, and shout out to all my Jews, you know what I'm saying? L'chaim and all that, you know what I mean? But like, it was a very interesting,
Clean up that spit.
hey man, it was a very it was a peculiar time in my life. I was super cringy now that I think about it. So, to all my classmates who may be listening, I'm sorry. I know I've grown. I promise. But musically, like 8th grade part of that year, only listened to gospel and CCM. But like ninth grade, like what plagued me in 6th and 7th, I wanted to be like the cool kids that are around me. I'm like, oh, like what do cool kids do? Listen to top 40. I'll listen to top 40. Public middle school, like public middle school chewed me up and spat me back out, right? So when I'm going to this religious school, like based in like the beliefs I already hold so dear, I only like listen to like music that was like in that realm. But like the cool, awesome like 10th graders, 11th graders, or one senior, like they listen to like Christian metal and Christian rock and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, like I admire these people so much. I want to see what they like about it as well. And you see bands like Switchfoot because like Meant to Live was all over the radio. I think in 8th grade, yeah, it was. And like, yeah, songs like Stars also on the radio for a time. Like once that third album hit, Oh Gravity, nobody cared about Switchfoot in like the public sphere. I still bought that album though. But
The last hit I remember was Dark Horse.
see, yeah, Dark Horses. I remember that too. And like that was kind of, in my opinion, that's a little cheesy, but like it's definitely, it made sense for them. It makes sense that they put a song like that out. But going all the way back to like Beautiful Letdown, like their first like album in like it was so interesting like at that time in music, because like you had bands that like had crossover appeal but didn't have to sacrifice their Christian identity, and like you even had a few bands who were mistaken to be Christian bands and like never said anything about it but just let it rock because ooh, that's multiple streams of income, you know what I mean? Because like Placement in Christian bookstores, maybe some Christian radio play. Like the only really act that I think that gets away with that now is a band like say 21 Pilots. But like that's I feel like it's night and day. And another total conversation change. Um, with Beautiful Letdown, that I would dare say it's a perfect album. Like I can't say that a lot of the albums that I've chosen are perfect, like 10 out of 10s, like straight through, no skips. But like Beautiful Letdown, that's a bad boy. It's a great album. I want to pick the non-hits. So you have songs like 24, or songs like Gone, or my favorite one, Ammunition, or even maybe More Than Fine. Those are really great selections. Can't recommend these songs enough. I gotta tell you, like, I had to pick these 7 albums right away because like after I slept on it, I'm like, ooh, I want to switch this one for that one and that one for this one, but I can just do this again next year because hopefully it'll retrend again, and I can just like pin 7 new albums. Now, and before we transition, because like I want to like we definitely need to make some time to talk about the songs we recommended to each other last
Yeah.
episode. I want to briefly go in on the concept of like having more than one favorite album and such.
Oh, what's
Because
the definition of favorite?
oh like and let me start by saying this. My good friend Tyler the Creator once said, "I don't like to follow the rules, and that's just who I am." To be honest, I don't give a damn what the definition of favorite is. It's just that like in my own weird little brain, when I consider like albums that are my favorites, I think of ones that like because unlike some of these albums that I've selected for this for like this podcast and for like the tweet, like these are albums I can throw on no skips, period. And I think about all like these music reviewer YouTubers, all these music enthusiast YouTubers who put up like their best lists, like oh these are the best songs of the year, these are the best songs of the decade.
Yeah.
Like my boy Sean C, shout out to him. He dropped a video like the top 100 albums of like the last like 10 years, and like I'm thinking like, and then I also think of like my mind's bouncing around, so forgive me. Like you have Linkin Park, right? They had Hybrid Theory, then Meteora, and a lot of Linkin Park fans will argue and debate which album is better. For the first time in a long time, I can safely say that I prefer Meteora to Hybrid Theory, and
Really?
that I think that Hybrid Theory has more skips than Meteora. But man, wow! Like even as I'm trying to like process my thoughts in regards to this argument that like you can have more than one favorite,
Well,
when
here's the thing. If we're talking about the English language, there isn't any rules for the English language. So,
I'll give you that. But like think of all the genres that we like with you like loving instrumental records and you enjoying like classic rock and you enjoying jazz. I even think
mood
of like
jazz, yeah. That's
I even
sappy stuff you hear in the elevator.
I think about I think K-pop is a great example of this because when I meet people who love K-pop like I do, I'm like, oh, who's your bias or who's your favorite like singer from a K-pop group? And I personally for a while had two, one guy, one girl, and I'm like, there's no way I can just like have one favorite. And like you'll see in these fandoms for like K-pop groups like you have your bias. Like there is the one person who you like more than the other members of the group, especially if they go solo or something of that matter. Or what's your favorite song from this group, favorite album from this group? Like there's so many like you have like an umbrella favorite, and then like so many like things that fall under it that umbrella of just favorite metal album, favorite like hip hop album, like favorite verse from said hip hop album, like favorite song. Like there's like because like I like so much music. There's no way I can just pick one thing and that be like my one answer for the rest of my life. That's just how this thing works to me. Like I think of like screaming in the back of my head is an album like Discovery by Daft Punk. I think it's one of my favorite albums, but is it my favorite like the one? Definitely not, because there's some days where I'm gonna get burned out on that album. So I gotta hide it from myself
Yeah.
and maybe like come back to it in like a month or two. You know what I mean?
There's a few good tracks from that. from
A few,
Discovery.
he says. A few, he says. We're not going to have that conversation right now.
But the world is fascinated with lists. Dave Letterman probably started it with his top 10 list. So
I don't know if he started it, but he definitely made it. Definitely made it into a big. His was definitely a big deal. I honestly don't know anything on that list, but like,
there's a website that I watch a lot, too much, called Watch Mojo.
Yeah, they're on YouTube. I know those folk.
Yeah, and it's top anything. I just saw top 20. They had a list. This was a prequel, or this was a sequel. Another top 20 Simpson episodes. So,
let's move to
Our
the
pick.
recommendations we made to each other.
Yeah.
I am especially curious to hear your thoughts on Cascade by Animals as Leaders.
Yeah, I listened to that a few days ago. I'm trying to open this bottle without showing the label, and I'm having no success. It was cool. I know you said that gets you hyper, that song. I actually kind of a little sneak peek into what you said about your song. I think I need to re-listen to it again.
Great. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
But with a few,
I don't know if it did anything for me at the time.
Damn.
Keep trying. You're going to find it.
Oh yeah. Listen, I will. Best believe I will.
And I have given you some songs that you've enjoyed.
But you're having a better time than I am right now. Let me tell you.
Yeah,
I have zero, nothing.
You've hit a couple home runs.
Have I?
You did with Macrame.
No. You mean like suggestions that you made to me? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey man, hold on. Before we even go any further than that, I want to before I even speak on Miss Arbitrating and the song you recommended to me. You showed me you sent me a picture of a CD you recently burned of that Snarky Puppy album, We Like It Here.
Yeah.
How in the devil did you listen to that whole album and not watch one performance that I sent you? How?
You sent me videos.
That's how I told you about the album.
You sent me a Wikipedia thing about that album, I thought.
That was what I sent. I sent that Wikipedia article after the fact. Like, you'd already burned the CD before I sent you that damn article. I put the entire album on your Facebook wall, right? But I wanted to make sure I sent you the visual because I wanted you to see the people making the music. Because, like, for people who don't know, I'm like, shame on you, a listener who does not know about, like, Snarky Puppy. They'll change your life forever. They recorded this album live. Like obviously they rehearsed it. Like what band wouldn't rehearse like an album like that? But like when they recorded this bad boy to be like produced and sold in stores, like they had a live audience just like listening. Like the people who were making it obviously were there, the engineers and stuff were there, but they had an audience like, hey, let's listen to what we're up to in here. And like I really wanted you to see like the people who are making this album, because I may have told you on the air, I'm not sure if I did. There are some songs that almost make me cry on this album. Two in particular. I'm not going to tell you which ones. And you would have known had you watched it. I can't believe you didn't watch any of it.
I don't watch music videos anymore.
Oh my God!
MTV was probably the last time I saw a music video.
Unbelievable.
So,
and like,
how about I watch them after I listen to it?
I mean, you burned the album. You've heard the album, right?
I'll give you a little status update. I'm working on it. I'm working on listening to it, finishing it.
I'm impressed. So, did you buy that album?
Yeah.
You bought it without having finishing the whole thing?
After I burned it, I started listening to it.
Whoa! I'm just like, hold on, because like I'm asking this because I'm confused and I'm impressed. It's like you purchased an album that you didn't know that you loved in the first place. You're like, you know what? Chris made this recommendation to me. I'm gonna listen to it. Let me buy it first. You bought it without even knowing that you liked it.
Yeah, I listened to a sample, I think, of Lingus. I told you that. And nothing was special. But like I said, I also buy albums because it it has a album only, and Lingus was an album only. So I bought the
Oh
whole
my
thing.
gosh.
I bought the whole thing, and I'm on track 5 right now.
Then you know what? I won't bother you anymore about that. But like, I'm getting hyphy as heck because I'm just like, I can't believe people like you are still real. Who are just like, you know what? I heard a song. I'll buy the whole thing. I can't believe it.
I usually buy, I'll buy a song based off of a sample if I like it. This is rare though because I bought it even though I didn't like the song. But there are African American artists in the group. I know Corey Henry is black, and he plays the Hammond organ. And I know he has the Jazz Prophets group that you, I think, talked
The
about
Funk
last
Apostles,
episode.
yeah.
So it's relevant for now, and I actually slotted it in. So that's the next CD that I'm listening to right now. The CD that I listened to before was too long to sit in my vehicle and listen to.
What album was that?
It drained my battery in my vehicle.
What album was that?
Oh, it was a nature album.
Nature.
Yeah, it was just ocean.
Wait, like some nature noises?
Yeah, it was just the sea. It was 2 different locations. One was the Big Sur. You've probably heard of that, SUR.
Yeah.
And one was in Monterey, I guess, California. I don't know.
This man is out here listening to nature noises and stuff. I can't believe it.
And it was kind of boring, actually, but it also had some seagulls in the background.
Tell me you didn't buy that album.
No, my dad owned it.
Okay.
It was
okay.
recorded in
And I'm not gonna pick on your dad for that because like that must be real tranquil to hear when you're like going to sleep or something like that. But this man, Michael A. Friedman, this man, the Mad Catr, the Mapster himself, put a nature sound CD in his vehicle and listened to it.
No, I put it in my computer. Like I said, I didn't want to drain my
Unbelievable.
And it was recorded in 1979, and it was a total. I actually had to listen to one track on one occasion, and then come back and listen to the second track on another occasion. One song was, I think, almost an hour long, and then another song was almost 30 minutes, and I did it.
You got my boy here listening to field recordings, y'all. I can't stand it. I'm sick. Before I say anything else before I put my foot in my mouth any further, let me just go ahead and say that I feel that like I've done my culture a disservice not knowing who Miss Armatrading was.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, what path have I taken in my life where I had not known who she was previously? Lord knows I worked in a CD store for 3 years. I'm sure we were bound to have carried one of her albums at some point or another. Like,
to be fair, she's not a household name.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like, she had a successful career. So, excuse me again, like.
So you've read up on her?
No, like, and I didn't do enough research to be honest with you, but it's just like it's so like confounding to me that there's so much art, there's so many people who make music for a living, alive and dead, who like have successful careers, but are not known by like the public. Yeah. Like I don't think Animals as Leaders is a good example of this because they are a popular brand in the internet age. Like people who know guitars know AAL because like that's their whole bread and butter. But like say a singer-songwriter.
What is it called?
Huh? What'd I say?
Oh, you.
I abbreviated them.
Yeah, abbreviated.
But yeah, people like like that's not. I don't think that's fair to like. That wouldn't be. I don't think that'd be like an appropriate comparison now that I think about it. But like an artist like Miss Armatrading, like singer-songwriter, don't really know who her peers were per se, but just like like you could safely say like her music is adult contemporary or so. But man, like there's so many like this great like, and we know like, and people know the greats when you hear them, especially when like you run in the circles that we do, who like go out of their way to find the next cool song to listen to or purchase.
Hey, what time? I didn't look. What time are we wrapping up around?
Wow, I didn't even think about that. It's like 2:43. We're about a minute and 5 minutes into the podcast. We'll be done soon. You have places to be. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll finish up on time. Yeah.
No doubt. This has been kind of fun. So again, Always a pleasure to do this with you. I'm gonna go ahead and make my recommendation to you now. It's Black History Month. It's
Uh-huh.
only what 2 weeks in or so.
And
Um,
we're doing all recommendations during this month that are black artists.
yeah. So
So what do you
did
got?
you let me ask you a question. Did you follow the drama with Justin Bieber, Selena Gomez, and Roddy Ricch?
I have never heard of that third name.
Okay, so long
Oh,
story
Roddy
short,
Rich. Yes, yes. My brother told me about Roddy Rich recently, and he said that he does this song called "The Box."
that
Yeah.
is your recommendation. That is your recommendation this week. At one point or another this year, it was the song. It was like the number one song in the country. Personally, I'm not too. I'm not too like. It's not. Um, I will say. I will go out on a limb and say that like, it's not a song that I personally enjoy. But like my thing is like when people love like when there's a song that's popular that a lot of people like, I love being in a room when it's played because people have fun when they hear things that they enjoy. Plus, a lot of fun memes were made to the box, and I love that like the establishment. And I probably said this during like our Grammy episode, like the public, like the top 40 pop music machine, like this corporation of like stuffy suits, like they were trying their damnedest to make their artist like beat his project, and it didn't because one could argue that Roddy went about like promoting this project the authentic way. Like the people who liked his music led the charge and making sure that he got like the eyes and ears that he deserved. Like Beeves tried really hard with Yummy to like go straight to like the top, but the song kind of sucks. And
Yeah, he
like
told me it didn't do what it was supposed to do,
yeah, and it's like when you program a thing to go number one right away, usually it doesn't work out that way unless the song is good.
unless they're
With
super
go
talented.
and like and see right, and that's the thing. Beeves is so talented, great dancer, great singer. I'm not so sure about his writing skill. Not the point. Gomez,
I saw him on a late night show, and his choreography was good.
he's Beeves is fun. I'm a fan. But with Gomez on the other hand, I don't like to like throw as many pot shots at her because I have such a broken record. It's like when it comes to like songs that I think are cheesy or corny, I don't want to be too mean, right? And it's like maybe I'm not at that level of cheesiness to appreciate the said thing. So and I know that like Gomez has had a really hard time in her personal life and in her medical life. So I feel like I don't want to like punch down by saying like, oh, I don't like them. I don't like these songs. They're not that good. I'm thinking, okay, it's just like it's not my realm. Yummy on the other hand is actually terrible. But
Okay.
like songs like Ring or like Lose You to Love You or Look at Her Now, like women like these songs, and I'm not gonna be the guy to just pick up like just make fun of or like talk trash and things that girls like because
You're
that's
afraid of
petty.
giving a bad review, aren't you?
No, I'm trust me, I'm not. Like I wouldn't if say like Gomez's like manager or label was like, yo, can you give this a good review? I'm like handing me a bag of money. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't take the dough because like I wrote like a good friend of mine. She was like, yo, check out these 4 songs from the latest Gomez album. You're gonna like these. I barely liked one of the songs of the 4 that she played for me, and I'm just like, I don't want to like be a party pooper. You know what I mean? What's the end result? You know what I mean? Like it's and I love to be funny. I love to like be silly and argue, but like nah, no good comes out of picking on Selena Gomez, bro. I've seen enough comment threads to know that.
Yeah.
But that's neither here or there. Do you know what you're gonna recommend me this time around?
Yeah, I thought of it. I have two in my head. One is
Ooh,
the backup, and I
okay.
had a third one. For the life of me, I can't think of it. So the one I'm thinking of right now, I'm afraid you might have heard already,
Uh huh.
but I'll try it.
Yeah.
That Lady Parts 1 and 2 by the Isley Brothers.
Well, I've heard these songs on the radio all of my life, but I've never like sat down and listened to like the whole thing. So I accept your challenge. I'll do that.
All right.
Look at us. We both pick very popular like black music. So this will be fun. It'll be fun. It's like I just want to make I feel bad for younger popular like younger people who make like hip hop and R&B and such. Like they'll get one good record on the air, and then they'll fade away. And like I feel so bad when that happens, especially when you're young and you get a lot of money and a lot of attention, and like it ruins, like it spoils like the process of creation and presenting your work to an audience. Like I think of artists like Summer Walker, who are like praised by really big names in like the realm of R&B and hip hop, but she doesn't seem like the kind of artist who cares for the shenanigans, like meet and greets and like accepting awards or like long-winded tours. Like she wants to, it seems to me she just wants to create and like doesn't want to get caught up in like the keeping up with the Joneses and such. So with the artists like Roddy, I want to make sure that like him creating music is fun, and like interactions with said music are like also fun. Because I applaud Roddy Ricch for just like tweeting out, hey, go listen to Yummy, or hey, go check out Selena Gomez's album. Because like on one hand, it's like he's being shady, but on the other, it's like why wouldn't he want he welcomes the competition, because being number one on the Billboard doesn't really mean anything. But like it's all, and like I say this again and again and again and again. There is enough room in the music world for us all to get a piece of the pie, including you and me. There are lots of people in the world right now making shows like ours, but like, who's to say we can't do this and pay our bills? Yeah. We're not gonna push anybody off the table by being here. Like, it's a huge world, and with all the bands and artists that we have in our realm right now, like who are live touring and all that stuff. Who's to say that, like, when you turn on the radio in the OBX or in Philadelphia, you can hear, like, smart asses like us, or just, like, your local act from around the corner, like, hey, man, like, we just put out, like, a 5-song demo. Like, we hope you like it. Yeah. Maybe, like, we don't have to just force the listener to just, like, check out stuff that they really don't care about.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't get a chance to watch the Super Bowl this year. We had a party at my place that was kind of like anti-Super Bowl because, your boy's still kneeling. But, like, I was interested in seeing Shakira play. But then they're like, oh, wait, J-Lo's here too. And I'm thinking, bro, I don't care about J-Lo's music at all. But, and so I didn't get a chance to actually watch the performance or whatever. But I saw the discourse the day afterwards, and people were complaining, like, oh, didn't like this, didn't like that, wham. And I saw one clip of just like Shakira and J-Lo looking at each other, big old smiles on their faces. And I'm like, You know what? They win the game as far as I'm concerned. Like, they did a good performance. They enjoyed themselves. It's not often when we have two huge like stars in like the Latinx world, like celebrating their long, successful careers. I may not be interested in like J-Lo's like music career. I'm more interested in like Shakira, since like I enjoy more what I hear from her stuff. But just like the decision was made, it is what it is, but like, what are the alternative options? Because like that happened, you watched it, what if you heard it, where do you go next? It's our job to point people in the correct direction. You know what I'm saying? And like,
well, you said you don't want us giving songs to people that they're not going to like.
Well, like, rather like, okay, so say like
I don't know what my listeners are gonna like. I don't even know who my listenership is right now.
Well, let's
say
no, it's so funny because like he's usually the first to watch our stuff. No, but like say, okay, with like
first of all, real quick before I forget, that lady, parts 1 and 2 is paired together. I don't know how it is on the original album that it appeared. But if you go to the Ultimate Isley Brothers, and I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
It pairs it up. That lady's 1 and 2. It's 5:34 timeline.
I got it. I'm looking forward to this for real. But no, what I mean by that is like, because as people trained in like the broadcasting realm, where we're told, oh hey, whatever the station plays, you love it. And you want to win over the audience.
They shove it down your throat.
And I'm like, I strongly disagree with just like being on board with whatever like the program director says.
I would rather play my own stuff.
And I'm like, I reserve the right as like an on-air person to say, yo, Like this song by The Weeknd is not good. Why do you people want to hear it so often? Because then, oh hey, ring ring, hey yo, I want to talk to that guy on the air real quick. He's disrespecting The Weeknd. We'll have a dialogue.
Yeah.
I don't want, and like I think of my man Vince Staples, who's a rapper, who's like,
I've
who
heard
says,
him,
oh I love him. He's so funny. He's like, I don't want to disrespect anyone in my in like this hip hop stuff that I'm doing. Like, if I don't like your record, I'm gonna keep it to myself because oh hey, you bought your mom a house with that music. Oh hey, like you paid your sister's college tuition with that music.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to screw up your money. And so like I don't want to be that guy who like takes pot shots at like the popular people because that's so edgy. That's so beneath me. Again, I don't want to punch down. But like say
well, you shouldn't say that about Vince Staples because he's
very short.
He used his money to buy his money. No, but
he certainly did.
Like when I told you about in my past, I used to make compilation CDs, and I would play them for my parents and my brother. Big listenership. But anyway, every now and then I would mix it in with a song I didn't like, so they would enjoy it.
You did it for them. You did it for them, and like you love them first of all. But for people we don't know, will we ever be listening?
Yeah,
it's like. I'm trying to think of an example. Like, let's just use like Court de Giorgio as an example. Like, you're like, oh hey, like
you mean really Giorgio Moroder?
Hey, hush up! Stop messing with me, bro. Like Kirk G, my man Kirk the G. We play like, yo, like this stuff is popping. We're gonna play it, and like we get feedback. We get like a letter or an email, like, yo, man, all you guys play is that Kirk the G. What do you got? Where do you go play some like I don't know, like some Betty Benassi, some Justine? So I'm like, oh, say less. We gotta throw that on for you.
So you know we gotta adhere to our listeners.
I'm just we don't communicate for shit in 2020. We have not learned a single thing, especially with the way we interact with our music. And that's why we have like things like Yummy happening, where just like they think, oh, the kids love stuff like this. Yeah, Justin, call your wife that Yummy. And we're like, ew. No, don't do that. Yeah, or if you do, we don't want to hear about it.
Yeah. Keep that to the bedroom, right?
Yes. I'm like, bro. Like, happy that you met like the love of your life, but I don't need to know you that well. I don't.
Yeah, I don't. When I have a sex life, I'll keep that to myself.
I'll congratulate you from all the way over here. It's like, hey, yo, like TMI. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I say that's my stuff. That's and that's I'm not going to. I'm not sharing the intimate, juicy, yummy details.
Oh my Lord! Yo, wrap it up, dog. Let's get out of here.
What time are we supposed to be wrapping it up around?
What time is it now?
Are we doing shorter?
No, honestly, we still have a good like. I'm talking like wrap it up. We have like what? 13 minutes left of like time to like talk to the people.
So you're saying wrap it up and we have 13 minutes left.
Well, what else is there to say at this point?
We always have something to say, dog.
I'm full of it. Yeah, I always have something to say.
You want to? Because I was struggling for straws actually last time, but I was able to find.
Me too.
I talked about Tony Thompson from Chic. I talked about the story about the song "La Freak," how they couldn't get into the disco club. I don't know why. Maybe they were prejudiced. I don't know.
They were being haters.
And they were being haters, and they got stopped by the bouncer. And and if the bouncer now, if you talk to that bouncer now, they're like, oh yeah, that was Bernard Edwards, and why am I not remembering his name? I said we shouldn't do the show if you don't know him, and now I can't think of it. Who is it? The guy that worked with Daft Punk?
Nile Rodgers.
And if you ask the bouncer now, and he's probably embarrassed as heck. Oh, 100%. That was Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards that I didn't let into the club. So they wrote "The Freak" with the "freak" supposed to be a choice F word instead. That was their little taking a jab at the disco club. So I grabbed for straws, but I was able to finally reel it in. and Tony Thompson. By the way, I didn't mention that any of the songs he was in a super group with Robert Palmer and a couple people from Duran Duran, Andy
You
Taylor,
did.
and one of their songs is called "Some Like It Hot." But here's a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame reference. They also did a cover of T-Rex, who was in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They just got nominated. Bang a Gong, Get It On, which is the only song I know by T-Rex.
I do not
So,
listen to that band. I'm not even going to front.
you what?
I never heard of T-Rex. Like when you mentioned their name during the episode, I'm like, who's that? But I was coming to myself.
You haven't heard of Bang a Gong?
No, I never listened to that before. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Bang a Gong, Get It On, Get It. Anyway, so yeah, that was their two hits. But I was grasping for straws when I did Tony Thompson. Because we were
It
talking
is what
about.
it is.
I'm sorry.
It is what it is. We didn't do a lot of prep. And like the cracks that
Well,
started the show.
we don't. We're seven. This is our MO. Our MO is we don't do prep, and that's how it's done, kids. We haven't done a lesson for today, and I knew about this lesson while I was TMI sitting on the toilet today,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought about this lesson, and it's not segueing with anything, which our 6 episodes, all of our lessons have tied into something we've talked about, but this is just a lesson that I really believe I need to preach, and it's nothing to do about music, but it is tunnel vision. If you know what you want to do in life, God bless you.
Yeah,
But
right.
if you do know, eliminate distractions, put on your miner hat, and focus on that. Do not. And I actually read a quote. This sort of segues to an older episode. I think the one I did with Ramade, which was a quote from Henry Rollins, who was in the group Black Flag, and Henry Rollins basically said that you don't have any downtime. All you have is now time. Um, which I mean, sometimes you do need to relax. You need
May I
to.
alley oop you for a second actually?
I'm sorry.
May I like I got a couple cents I want to throw into that hat if you don't mind.
Okay.
Um, I agree with you in the sense that like when you know your passion, like do everything in your power to just like follow that path as hard as like it's not easy, it never is, but like when you're doing something worthwhile, like it'll pan out in some way, shape or form. Like the dude Matthew Cherry who just won like an Oscar for like Hair Love, he'd been working on that for like 8 years, and like it
What's his
finally
name again?
Matthew Cherry, like he won the Oscar for Best Short this year, and
Hair Love. Was that Chris Rock part of that?
no, that's Good Hair, a whole different
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
No, but I just want to remind like the generation, like Generation Z, like millennials, boomers, silent generation, you're here too. Like, don't overwork yourself. Please don't overwork yourself.
Yeah.
Overworking yourself is not a good thing. If you're
You
doing
get
like if you're
burnout, right?
oh my lord, if you burn out, like you're at risk to take more of a loss than a win, in my opinion. Like, let's toss the narrative aside where we're thinking, oh, I'm working so hard, I'm not getting any sleep, but I'm grinding so hard. That is not a good thing. That is
I
an
remember
L.
hearing about I think it was the Terps coach for like a football team, and he used to stay at the facility and like sleep in a cot or a sleeping bag underneath his desk, and then he would wake up, bang his head. I don't know about that, but he wouldn't come home and see his family. I've heard about people that you can take things to the extreme, and you got to find the middle ground.
Let me say this: like, I don't like my job, but I love my coworkers. I
Uh-huh.
love the customers to an extent. I
Uh-huh.
leave my job at home. You know what I'm saying? Like, I come home, I talk to you, I talk to Sarah, I talk to our friends. Like, I play some video games, I listen to a podcast, I listen
Yeah.
to music. Like, I read some books. You know what I'm saying? There's like I'm still, even at 27 years old, I haven't figured it out. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But like, Lord, like God forbid if I like die with my like work vest on. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's more important things to focus on. Like there's a whole world we've got to fix before we get eaten up by the sun. So I'm just like, yes, like just like one of my favorite creators on YouTube, Simon and Martina. Martina, she has chronic pain, and she has like this thing she goes to called build a ladder. Because if you're at your lowest point in your life,
Yeah.
all you have to do is keep building those rung, like keep adding a rung to that ladder. You know what I'm saying? Like you will find yourself, you will find your way out of the hole and onto like the ground, and like, oh hey, the sky is here. There's some grass, some animals. You know, like
Send me a link to that.
build a ladder. Oh, I have a they shouted me out once. I'm glad to shout them out back. Like big fans of their work. Like they do like lifestyle vlogging in Asia and stuff. But like
I'll just write
like
it down. I got it.
yeah, like build a ladder. You know what I'm saying? Like
Who are the two people?
Simon and Martina. I don't remember. Simon is Polish. I don't remember how to say his last name correctly, but like
Okay, I got
big fans of their work. Yeah, yeah. Like I'm gonna send you more specific links about that in the future. Big fans of what they're doing.
You were going to write a document that had all. You were going to listen to all the episodes we've done so far.
Oh, I still will. You know what?
References,
Here. I'll even do this. Like, Big Brother, I hope you're still there. I want you in episode 10. After episode 10
Little
is
brother.
done. Oh, right.
But he's taller than me.
So's my younger brother. He's taller than me too. After episode 10, we will take a brief hiatus and just make sure that every episode with all 10 episodes
We're figuring this out on the air.
Well, listen, I'm making these declarations so like people can be like, oh, you said you're gonna do this, you have to do that. You know what I'm saying?
You to it, yeah.
Yeah, like I want to hold like this is past Chris holding future Chris accountable. Hey man, you can't go past episode 10 until you like put like you re-listen and like leave references.
Let me talk about my brother here. My brother and I are like a roller coaster ride as far as our relationship.
I've heard.
Right now, it's getting out of the valleys. Right now, I mean, I guess it's streaming upwards. And look, I don't like rides, roller coaster rides.
Me neither.
I did one, dude. I did one back when I was in Cub Scouts, which is before Boy Scouts, and they took the picture of you. It looked horrible. That didn't look like me because I was screaming, and that's when it took a picture of me screaming, probably like a little girl. But anyway, no, I don't like thrill rides, but that's what my brother and I relationship is. We are the Gallagher brothers.
Oh no! Don't say that.
We're the non-famous version of the Oasis Gallagher brothers.
Oh no!
I joke that my brother and I argue about the color of the sky.
That's funny.
Yeah,
that's actually funny.
Yeah, thanks. So we pick on each other. I mean, I've read that the Gallagher brothers are kind of, one of them at least, I can't remember which one, is psychological with the other one. I kind of feel like I'm a little psychological toward my brother. So, but there are times where it's really good, where like we take trips together, and we're kind of planning a little trip, so when we're ready to do that, we'll do that. But yeah, we can be good with each other. We can take walks together. We don't take walks very much anymore. So I'm not sure. We'll see where we are when we get toward like episode 9, maybe. We'll see where we are.
100%. That's a great place to stop. We are about 29 minutes. Well, 28 and a half, but who's counting? Yeah. We've basically hit 3 p.m. So that's good too. Thanks to everyone who's listening. Look at that. Like, thank you to Twitter. Thank you to Dat Piff. Thank you to all those great artists. Like, whether you see this or not, like, you've made a profound impact on our lives and the lives of others. You mentioned your brother. I mentioned mine. Kevin Craig Owens. You are the coolest person I've ever met in my entire life. I don't say that lightly because, what can I say? I have good taste. You're the coolest person ever. I'd love to have you on the show someday. I don't know if you've seen any of the episodes yet. I'll have to send him a tweet because that's how I really interact with him these days.
Shout out to Sarah. Shout out to Aramide. Shout out to my brother who made an appearance, sort of. Shout out to my mom. We talked about her.
Mama!
And you want to do our outro now?
Hey, Michael.
Yeah.
Power to the people.
Power to the people.
Ladies and gentlemen, they bees and gentle dams, thank you for listening to the Catr and Kenard podcast. We will see you soon. Michael, please say goodbye to the people.
Power to the people.
Power to the dang people. All right. All right, we're out of here. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.